Tumrisevashat Prajadyaksha Madarhanam Navejatu Mrisevashat Prajadyaksha Madarhanam Bhavad Videsu Atitaram Mai Sangri Bitatmanam. Word for word translation: Na, not. Ve, indeed. Jatu, ever. Mrisa, useless. Eva, only. Shat, it may be. Praja, of the living entities. Adyaksha, O leader. Madarhanam, worship of me. Bhavad Vidhesu, unto persons like you. Atitaram, entirely. Mai, on me. Sangribita, are fixed. Atmanam, of those whose minds. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: The Lord continued, My dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion, by worshipping me, especially persons like you, who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Purport: even if he has some desires, one engaged in the service of the Lord is never frustrated. Those engaged in His service are called Sakama and Akama. Those who approach the Supreme Personal Godhead with desires for material enjoyment are called Sakama. And those devotees who have no material desires for sense gratification, but serve the Supreme Lord out of spontaneous love for Him, are called Akama. Sakama devotees are divided into 4 classes: those in distress, those in the need of money, the inquisitive, and the wise. Someone worships the Supreme Lord because of bodily or mental distress. Someone else worships the Supreme Lord because he is in need of money. Someone else worships the Lord out of inquisitiveness to know Him as He is. And someone wants to know the Lord as a philosopher can know Him, by the research work of his wisdom. There is no frustration for any of these 4 classes of men. Each is endowed with the desired result of his worship. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksu Manitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sorry, can one of you just sit in the middle? Otherwise I have to look that side the whole time. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we're continuing our discussion from Canto 3, Chapter 21, titled Conversation Between Manu and Kardama. And today we're discussing text number 24. I'll read the translation again. This is Lord Vishnu speaking to Cardamomuni. The Lord continued, My dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. So in this chapter so far we've seen about Cardamomuni, how he did tapasya for 10,000 years. Lord Brahma, his superior, came and instructed Cardamomuni that please assist me in populating the universe. So before Cardamomuni can do this, he needs a suitable wife. So to fulfill this request of Lord Brahma, first he starts doing tapasya to get the audience of Vishnu. And then Vishnu comes, and then Cardamomuni, he offers a series of beautiful prayers onto the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And he puts forward his desire that I've been ordered by Brahma to populate the universe, and it's my desire to get a suitable wife to assist me in this. Can you please arrange for something? And now, after Cardamomuni's prayers are finished, now we're hearing Lord Vishnu's response to Cardamomuni's prayers. And the very first thing that Lord Vishnu tells Cardamomuni, which was in yesterday's verse, text number 23, I'll read the translation. The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline. So after all the different prayers Cardamomuni mentions, and after Cardamomuni puts forward, okay, this is my desire, can you please fulfill this desire? Vishnu, the very first thing he tells Cardamomuni, that don't worry, before you even, offer these prayers and ask me, I have already made arrangements to fulfill this desire. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains that Krishna is Antaryami. He is situated as the super soul within our hearts. He knows exactly what our desires are. He knows exactly what we like, what we don't like, what our ambitions are, what our goals are, how we like to serve Him. All these different desires that we have in our heart, Krishna, seated within our heart as a super soul, He knows all of these different desires. And Prabhupada explains that Krishna, He is so merciful and He feels so indebted to His devotees because of their service that even before a devotee comes to Krishna and puts forward a desire, Krishna already, He makes arrangements to fulfill those desires. So we don't even have to come and ask Krishna that, Krishna, I would like this, I would like that. Without us even having to ask Krishna, Krishna Himself, He's seated within our heart, He knows what our desires are, and He Himself will automatically fulfill. So this way Prabhupada explains how merciful Krishna is. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, he explains how there is a constant competition between Krishna and Krishna's devotees. What do Krishna's devotees try and do? Krishna's devotees, they're always looking to fulfill different desires of Krishna. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He has unlimited desires. And the devotees of the Supreme Lord, they're always trying to look what are the desires that Krishna has, and they're always endeavoring to fulfill those desires of Krishna, to bring happiness and pleasure to Krishna. Krishna, on the other hand, he sees his devotees working so hard to please him. He sees his devotees working hard to fulfill his desires, that he feels great indebtedness. And out of gratitude, Krishna, from his side, he also looks into the heart of his devotees, and he also sees what desires they have, and he also fulfills those desires. So in this way, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami explains how there's this constant competition between Krishna and his devotees. Krishna's devotees are always working hard to fulfill Krishna's desires, and Krishna, from his side, he is also working hard to fulfill the desires of his devotees. So in this way, there's always constant competition between Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Both are trying to fulfill the desires of the other. So this is one example we see where Cardamomuni is coming, doing austerities, tapasya, and when he finally meets Vishnu, what does Vishnu tell him? That don't worry, even before you offer these prayers, I knew what your desire was, and I've already made arrangements. Don't worry, I've already made arrangements, and later on we'll see, Vishnu will explain how he has arranged for Swayambhu Manu to give his daughter Devahuti in marriage to Cardamomuni. And Vishnu explains nicely to Cardamomuni that, this daughter of Swayambhu Manu Devahuti, she is, her mindset, her temperament is very similar to yours, is very matching to yours. So in this way, you'll have a nice, happy, peaceful marriage. And then this way, you will be able to populate the universe. And Lord Vishnu explains that through her, you will have 9 daughters and 1 son. And this son, he won't be any ordinary son. He will be my incarnation, my avatar, Lord Kapila. So in this way, Vishnu, he satisfies the desire of Cardamomuni. So this is how merciful the Supreme Lord is. Whatever desires his devotees have, Krishna is seated within the hearts. Even before we go and ask Krishna, can you please fulfill his desire? Krishna himself, from his side, will fulfill. Because Krishna is always seeking an opportunity to serve his devotees. Just like devotees are always looking for opportunities to serve Krishna and fulfill Krishna's desires, same way, Krishna is always looking for opportunities to serve his devotees and to fulfill the desires of his devotees. But there is a catch. Prabhupada explains in today's purport that there are two types of devotees. One is called Sakama devotees, other one is called Akama devotees. Sakama devotees are those devotees of Krishna who have material desires. They like worshipping Krishna, they like serving Krishna, but at the same time in their heart they have some material desires. Second type of devotees of Krishna is Akama devotees. Kama means desire. Akama means no desire. So Akama devotees are those devotees who don't have any material desires. Their whole heart and life is just simply to serve Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, to serve them, and they don't want anything for themselves. They're simply happy and satisfied with serving Krishna and Krishna's devotees. They don't have any material desires. Like Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anamritam, Anukulyena Krishnanu, Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. That pure devotional service is characterized by Anya Bilasita Sunyam. No abhilash, no desires for anything. Sunyam. Sunyam means zero. They have zero material desires. So this is Akama devotees. So Prabhupada in today's verse, he's talking and explaining how there's these two types of devotees, and regardless of which devotee is worshipping Krishna, either the devotee with material desires or the devotee without any material desires, Krishna will still fulfill their desires. But Prabhupada explains, the Shastras explain, there is a catch. When it comes to devotees who have material desires and they approach Krishna and they ask for some material benediction or the fulfillment of a particular material desire, Prabhupada explains, the Shastras explain, that Krishna will fulfill that desire, but he will fulfill that desire in a way in which that devotee, he won't ask for that benediction anymore. Because Krishna, he understands that these material desires, fulfillment of these material desires is not good for my devotee's spiritual well-being. So as a loving father, a father never wants to give anything to his children which would be harmful for his life or his progress in life. So Krishna, as the all-loving father, he never gives anything to his devotees which will be bad for his spiritual life, which will be bad for his spiritual progress. But a devotee, if he's a Sakama devotee, a devotee material desire, if he still has some strong material desires and he approaches Krishna, then Krishna, he will very tactfully, very intelligently, what he will do, he will fulfill that desire, but he will do it in a way in which that devotee, he will lose taste for that desire, and he won't ask for that desire again. I'll give one example. Prabhupada, he gives this example from his own life. When Prabhupada was a householder, he had a small son. And back in the 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, the fans in India, they were just like fans we have. You have the spinning fan, but there wasn't any cage. Like now we have the cage to stop from anyone touching the fan and harming themselves. So previously they had fans going, but there wasn't any protective cage around the fan. So anyone could put their finger in and harm themselves. So one day Prabhupada's young son, he saw the fan spinning and he was asking Prabhupada, asking his father that, it looks cool, the nice spinning fan, and he wanted to touch that fan. It's a nice spinning thing, looks something cool, let me go touch it. And Prabhupada was stopping his son's hand, don't go, you'll hurt yourself, this is dangerous. If you touch the fan, you'll immediately get cut, you'll start bleeding, and you will harm yourself. Then you start crying, and then, we have to pacify you. So this way Prabhupada was advising his child, that his child had this desire, I want to touch the fan, but Prabhupada is saying, don't do this is not good for you. But still the child was insistent, no, I want to touch the fan, I want to touch the fan. Then Prabhupada said, okay, you can touch the fan. But what did Prabhupada do? The fan has different speeds, right? We have speed number 1, speed number 2, speed number 3. So Prabhupada, he puts the fan on very low speed. So the fan, instead of going like that, it goes slowly like that. So after Prabhupada, he puts the fan on low speed, then he asks his son, okay, now you touch the fan. Then Prabhupada's son goes and he touches the fan, and the fan is on low speed, it hits his finger, and immediately Prabhupada's son puts back his hand, and his hand hurts, then he starts crying, yes, daddy, you were right. Actually, this is not good. I hurt myself. So in this way, Prabhupada, he teaches his son a lesson, that touching a spinning fan is not good for you. But Prabhupada still satisfied the desire of his child. His child wanted to touch the fan, and Prabhupada still satisfied that desire, but he satisfied that desire in a way in which his son will never want to do that again. Right? From that day onwards, his son never asked Prabhupada, oh, can I touch the fan? Can I touch the fan? He learned this lesson. No, touching fan is bad, I will hurt myself. So in this way, Prabhupada very intelligently, he put the fan on low speed. So that way the child will learn the lesson, but he will learn the lesson in a way by which he won't harm himself too much. If you let him touch the fan on high speed, then, he could have cut his finger, started bleeding, and it would have been very bad for the child. But Prabhupada, he fulfilled the desire of his son. In a way, he didn't hurt himself too much, and in a way in which his son will never ask for that desire again. So exact same thing Krishna does with his devotees. Sometimes his devotees have material desires, and Krishna, through the Shastras, he advises us that material desires can never be fulfilled. One shouldn't have material desires. It's the source of all frustration in life. But still, we're like ignorant little children. We still say, no, Krishna, I want this. I know material desires aren't good. I know I should be pure, but still, I still want to do this. I still want to do this. So then Krishna says, okay, if you want to do this, okay, I will fulfill. But just like Prabhupada, he fulfilled the desire of his son. In a way, he won't ask for it again. Same way, Krishna will fulfill the material desire of his devotees in a way that they will learn a lesson that actually this is not good, and they won't ask for it again. The classical example is that of Dhruva Maharaj. He had material desire. He was worshipping Krishna with the desire to get a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather. So Dhruva Maharaj's father was King Uttanapad. Uttanapad's father was Swayambhu Manu. So Swayambhu Manu was his grandfather. And his grandfather was the father of Swayambhu Manu, which is Lord Brahma. So his desire was that I want to get a kingdom which is even greater than Lord Brahma or Satyaloka. And in this universe, there's nothing greater than Satyaloka. Satyaloka is the topmost planetary system in this universe. So he had such a big material desire. He doesn't have any small, ordinary material desire. Like we have small material desires, that I want a nice car, I want to go for a holiday to Europe, I want to travel, I want to do this, do that. So we have small, tiny material desires. But look at Dhruva Maharaj's material desire. He wanted a kingdom even greater than Lord Brahma. So such a huge material desire he had. But still, Krishna, he fulfilled that desire. He gave Dhruva Maharaj Dhruva Loka, the pole star. He gave him his own abode to rule. But, again, just like Prabhupada, he fulfilled the desire of his child in a way he won't ask for again, in the same way. Lord Vishnu, he does the same thing with Dhruva Maharaj. He fulfills Dhruva Maharaj's desire, but he does so in a way that Dhruva Maharaj, he doesn't want for it again. That's why when Dhruva Maharaj is seeing Vishnu, he's feeling so happy and so satisfied by just taking darshan of Lord Vishnu. He is saying to Lord Vishnu that Swamin Kritato Asmi Varam Na Yache, that my Supreme Lord, now I'm fully satisfied. Now I don't want anything else. I was searching for broken pieces of glass. But now I have found a Divya Ratnam. I have found a transcendental diamond in your lotus feet. So when one has a Divya Ratnam, when one has a diamond, why will one go after broken pieces of glass? So in this way, Dhruva Maharaj explains that going after material desires is like going after broken pieces of glass. Say if some glass object breaks and it shatters and it goes all over the floor, and there's broken piece of glass everywhere. If we try and catch it in our hands, what will happen? We will hurt ourselves and we will start bleeding. If we walk over it, we will hurt ourselves, we will start bleeding. So the same way Dhruva Maharaj explains that material desires, they are like broken pieces of glass. If we try and catch material desires, if we try and fulfill material desires, it's exactly like someone trying to grab broken piece of glass. What will happen if we grab broken piece of glass? We will simply hurt ourselves, we'll simply harm ourselves, we'll cause distress onto our own selves. So this way, Dhruva Maharaj is a classical example of a devotee who initially was a Akama devotee. Initially he had material desires, and very big material desires. He wanted to get revenge, he wanted to get a kingdom even greater than Lord Brahma, and Krishna, who fulfills that desire. But he does so in a way that Dhruva Maharaj, he doesn't want it anymore, and he is fully satisfied. So in this way, the Shastras explain that Akama Sarva Kamama Moksha Kama Udaridi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. That whether one has desires, doesn't have desires, or whether one is desiring liberation, regardless of who you are, what desires you have, what your mind is, don't worry, just come and worship Krishna. You want money? Don't worry, come and worship Krishna. Krishna will fulfill the desire of yours. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted wealth, he wanted opulence. Krishna fulfilled that desire. So regardless of who you are, what desire you have, or if you don't have desires, or if you're a jnani, the Shastra says, doesn't matter who you are, what you are, just come and take shelter of Krishna. Krishna will take care of you, Krishna will help you. No need to go to any of the demigods. Why do people go to demigods? Because they have desires, a lot of material desires. But the Shastras say, even if you have material desires, don't worry, come to Krishna, Krishna will fulfill those desires in a way which will help you progress in your spiritual life. Prabhupada, he gives the example just like Prabhupada compares the demigods to shopkeepers or businessmen. So a child might go to some shopkeeper and buy, some underage person, 15, 16-year-old, can go to a shopkeeper and give money and buy something which is not good for him, like cigarettes or alcohol. And the shopkeeper, he won't think this cigarettes or alcohol is not good for this child, why should I give him, even though he's giving money? No. What will the businessman think? He will just think, okay, he's giving me money, I have to give him the product. The businessman or shopkeeper, he never thinks about the well-being of his customer. He's just thinking, how I can get money. If someone gives me a certain amount of money, I give him the product. That's all he's worried about. So same way Prabhupada explains, demigods are like that. You do some penance, you do some yagna, do some tapasya for them, then the demigods are satisfied and they will give whatever material benediction you want. Even though that material benediction might be bad for the worshippers, still the demigods are obliged to fulfill whatever desire their worshippers have. Whereas Prabhupada explains, Krishna is not like that. Krishna is like a father. So you can go to a shopkeeper and ask, give him money and say, I want cigarettes, I want alcohol. The shopkeeper will give if you have money. But if the same child goes and asks his father, no matter how much money he gives to his father, no matter how much he brags, the father will never give. Because the father knows that this is bad for my child. Why should I give him something which is not good for his future? So Prabhupada, he says, Krishna is like that. He's an all-loving father. He never gives anything to his devotees which is not good for their spiritual life. But still, if someone is still adamant that, no, Krishna, I want this, then Krishna will do it in a way that we lose that taste and we come closer to him. So in this way, Krishna is most expert in handling desires, in managing the desires of his devotees. Regardless of whether his devotees have spiritual desires, mature desires, doesn't matter. No matter which kind of devotee approaches Krishna, he knows how to perfectly reciprocate with that devotee and how to perfectly satisfy their desires and help him progress in spiritual life. In the purport, Prabhupada further explains that, there's two devotees. There's the Akama devotee with no desires, and there's the Sakama devotee with mature desires. And Prabhupada, he further breaks down Sakama devotees into 4 types. So among the Sakama devotees, those devotees with mature desires, Prabhupada says, there is 4 different categories. One is those who approach Krishna to mitigate their suffering or distress. They're going through a lot of hardship, suffering and stress, anxiety, and they come to Krishna to get peace. So currently, if we look at ourselves, that we can see that more than 90% of devotees, in our movement, they fall under this category. More than 90% of devotees, they will come to ISKCON or they'll come to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath because they're in distress. They're struggling hard outside with work, job, study, this and that. They're getting fried out, they're suffering so much. But when they come to temple, they find a lot of peace and happiness. They like doing some seva. It's like a break from the crazy work life which is out there. So more than 90% of devotees, they fall under this category, which is those who are in distress, those who are suffering. And most of us, we fall under this category. We were suffering a lot outside, but when we came to temple, we found shelter here at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. We found shelter in coming, taking darshan Radha Gopinath, singing and dancing in front of them, helping in the kitchen, helping Prem Sagar Prabhu, chopping vegetables, washing the pots, It's very nice to just come, do some service, hear nice kirtan. For at least one day when we come to the temple, we can forget, all the nonsense which is going on in our material lives. So this is one category Krishna explains of devotees who come with mature desires. One is those in distress. Then next is those in the need of money. Number 3 is those who are inquisitive. And number 4, those who are in search of knowledge. So this is the famous verse, Chaturvidaya Bhajantamam, that comes in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So regarding those in distress, Prabhupada, he gives the example of Gajendra. So Gajendra is a classical example of a devotee who approaches Krishna when he is in distress. So the crocodile, he is biting onto Gajendra's legs. And Gajendra is trying with his own endeavor to get free from the bite of the crocodile. But no matter how hard he is trying, Gajendra, he can't get out. Then finally Gajendra, he gives up. Then he calls out to Lord Vishnu that please help me. And then Vishnu comes. Hearing his holy name being chanted, Vishnu comes for the protection of his devotee. And then Gajendra, he wants to serve Vishnu, because when you see the Supreme Lord, you're supposed to render some service. But what service can he offer? He's trapped, he doesn't know what to do. But he sees in the lake there is a beautiful lotus flower. So he picks up the lotus flower with his trunk and he offers it at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, he's so pleased by Gajendra's service, Lord Vishnu immediately, he liberates Gajendra. So this is an example of a devotee who's approaching Krishna in distress. And in this section, 8 canto, Prabhupada explains that this crocodile, which is biting Gajendra, this crocodile represents Maya. And we're like in the position of Gajendra. So we're like devotees, we're trying to practice spiritual life, but Maya, Durga Devi, will come and try and attack us. Prabhupada explains in Gita, when a particular jiva, he gives up material desire and he starts to practice spiritual life, it's like he's waging war on Maya. So when you wage war on someone, the other party is not just going to stand back and do nothing. If we wage war on someone, that person will naturally retaliate. He'll naturally fight back. So Prabhupada explains, when a particular jiva, he starts to let go of material life and starts coming to the temple, starts associating with devotees, starts chanting Hare Krishna, then it's like he is waging war on Maya. So when one wages war on Maya, Maya is not just going to stand back and do nothing, but she's going to fight back and try and pull that jiva back into the illusory energy, back into sense gratification. So Prabhupada is explaining that this crocodile, which is biting onto Gajendra, this is like Maya or Durga Devi, trying to pull us back. And how did Gajendra get free from the bite of crocodile? He called out to Vishnu. So in the same way, we have to call out to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this way, if we call out the Hare Krishna mantra in all sincerity, then Vishnu will also come and protect us from the bite of the crocodile-like Maya or Durga Devi, who is always there to test us and push us back. So this is the job of Maya or Durga Devi. So it is said in this day and age that, as we were discussing before, Krite yad dharato Vishnum, Tretayam yajato make, Dwapare paricharyayam, kalo tad hari kirtanat. In Satya Yuga, the process of self-realization was meditation, which we're seeing Cardamomuni do in this chapter. Then in Treta Yuga, he was performing yagna or sacrifices. Dwapara Yuga, he was worshipping the deity. But now in Kali Yuga, it's taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord. So by doing this, we can keep ourselves free from the attacks of Maya. So as Prabhupada explains, no doubts, as we practice devotional service, Maya will again and again test us, try and drag us back. But if we take shelter of the holy name of the Lord, Prabhupada explains, we can be free from the illusory energy of the Lord. So that is the first type. Second type, those in the need of money, Prabhupada gives the example of Dhruva Maharaj. So he is an example of a devotee worshipping Krishna to get some opulence, some wealth or some money. Then number 3 is the inquisitive. Anyone remember what is the example Prabhupada gives of inquisitive? Sorry? His son? Yes, so that's one example. But from the Shastras, or from Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives the sages of Naimisharanya as the example of inquisitiveness. So if you read the first canto of Bhagavatam, we hear of Sonaka Rishi and the sages of Naimisharanya. And Prabhupada gives them as an example of devotees approaching Krishna out of inquisitiveness. So what were the sages of Naimisharanya initially doing? They were initially performing a big sacrifice, fire sacrifice, for the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga. So these sages, by their mystic yoga power, they could see in the future how terrible Kali Yuga will be, how there'll be so much meat eating, intoxication, gambling, so on and so forth. And they were thinking, these people of Kali Yuga, they will suffer so much. We need to do something to help these people of Kali Yuga. So seeing into the future, the sages of Naimisharanya, they were doing a huge fire sacrifice to benefit us, to benefit the future generations that will be born in Kali Yuga. But while they're doing the sacrifice, they had this feeling in their heart that we're doing the sacrifice, but we don't know whether actually it's fully beneficial or not. They weren't sure of the actual result of the sacrifice. And they explained to Sutta Goswami that we're doing the sacrifice, but we're not sure about the result, whether it will actually work or whether it will not work. And they explained to Sutta Goswami that the only result we're seeing out of the sacrifice is that our bodies are becoming black. Just like when we see the Homa happening, the different smoke, the smoke comes out of the fire. So much smoke was coming out of the fire that all the bodies of the sages were becoming black. So in this way they explained to Sutta Goswami that we're doing this big yagna, but the only result we're seeing happening is that our bodies are just becoming black and we don't know whether actually we're getting any benefit out of this. And then they put forward questions at the lotus feet of Sutta Goswami, inquiring from him about Krishna. So this is an example of certain devotees who approach Krishna out of inquisitiveness. So these sages of Naimisharanya, they were inquisitive about Krishna, and out of the inquisitiveness, they offer different questions to Sutta Goswami. And the whole Bhagavatam is basically answers to these questions of the sages of Naimisharanya, which they put forward to Sutta Goswami. Then lastly, we have the fourth category, which is those who approach Krishna out of a desire for getting transcendental knowledge. So example of that Prabhupada gives is of Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami is an example of one who's approaching Krishna out of desire for knowledge. So initially Sukadeva Goswami, he was a Brahmavadi. He was an impersonalist. And his father Vyasadeva wanted to get him back. So what his father Vyasadeva does, he sends some of his disciples to go to the forest where Sukadeva Goswami is. And he asked these disciples of his to recite Srimad Bhagavatam out loud. So these disciples of Srila Vyasadeva, they were reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam out loud. And when Sukadeva Goswami, he hears these different beautiful verses of Bhagavatam, immediately Sukadeva Goswami's mind gets captured and he immediately comes to his disciples and asks, what is this you're reciting? Where has this come? Then these disciples say, actually, we learned this from a father, Vyasadeva. Then Sukadeva Goswami, again, he backtracks and again comes back to his father. And again, he studies Srimad Bhagavatam under his father. So Sukadeva Goswami is an example of someone who approaches Krishna out of desire for knowledge. So in this way, we have four categories. Those who approach Krishna out of distress, which is most of us, those who worship Krishna for in need of money, And number 3, those who worship out of inquisitiveness. And number 4, those who worship out of desire for knowledge. And Prabhupada explains, regardless of which category we fall under, it doesn't matter. Krishna will purify our heart. He will purify our desires and will make us eventually become pure devotees. Like Dhruva Maharaj, initially he wasn't a pure devotee, but he worshipped Vishnu, he became a pure devotee, he went back home, back to Godhead. Same with Gajendra. Initially he wasn't fully pure, he was approaching Krishna just to get freedom from suffering, but he got darshan of Vishnu, he did service. What service did he do? All he did was just offer one lotus flower. But Krishna, he took that simple offering of a lotus flower as a very great service. And Gajendra, he also offered prayers which he had learned in his previous life. So he was able to remember these prayers which he had memorized in his previous life, and he offered those prayers at Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. So just by doing these 2 simple services, one is calling out Krishna's name, offering a lotus flower, and reciting prayers, just by doing these 3 simple devotional service, Gajendra, he got fully purified, he became a pure devotee, he also went back home, back to Godhead. Same with the sages Naman Sharanya, and same with Sukadev Goswami. So this way Prabhupada explains, regardless of which category you fall under, you just come and worship Krishna. Krishna will clean our heart, he will purify us, and he will make us pure devotees, he will take us back home, back to Godhead. But in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explains that out of these 4 categories, one of them, Krishna says, is better than the other 3. Can anyone guess which out of these 4 is better? Yes, one who approaches Krishna out of knowledge, to get knowledge, he is considered to be better than the other 3. Why? Prabhupada explains, say someone is in distress, right? He is going through some problem, say some family problem, job problem. He comes to temple, offers dandavats to Radha Gopinath, prays to them that she should Radha Gopinath. For 2 months I've been looking for a job, I haven't been able to find a job, can you please help me? After 1 week, he finds a job. Then his desire is fulfilled. Krishna fulfilled his desire. Now he's not in distress anymore. Now he's happy. He has a job, he's getting money, everything is fine. So now, there is no need, there is no impetus for him to come back to the temple. Because what he wanted got satisfied. So he won't come back to the temple. He will just go away. He came to temple, I had a desire, asked Krishna, Krishna fulfilled. Okay, his desires is fulfilled. Now he'll just go back to the material world and enjoy life. Now we take the second one who comes to Krishna for money. Again, he'll come to Krishna saying, my parents back in India, they want a lot of money. I'm struggling to pay off my debts and my loans to my parents. Can you please help me get some money? He'll pray to Radha Gopinath. Radha Gopinath, again, they will fulfill his desire. So what will happen when he gets a lot of money? He'll forget Krishna, he'll go enjoy life, he won't come back to temple. But Prabhupada explains number 4, which is those who come to Krishna out of knowledge. He will come to temple, he is looking for topmost knowledge. So he'll attend a Bhakti Vriksha class, he will attend Bhagavatam class, and he will study the Shastras under the guidance of a devotee, trying to find out more about who Krishna is, trying to understand more about spiritual life. And because he is studying the books, he is getting knowledge of the Shastras, he will then get convinced of his position and Krishna's position. Okay, Krishna is Supreme Lord, I am his servant, I am supposed to serve him, I am supposed to do devotional service. So because he cultivates that transfer of knowledge, he will keep on coming back to a temple. He won't stop coming because he understands. He has that Divya Gyan. He has that transfer of knowledge that I am servant, Krishna is the master, I need to serve him. This way I will be happy. So because he has that transfer of knowledge, he won't stop coming to a temple. He will keep on coming again and again and again. So that's why Krishna explains, out of these 4 categories, one who is approaching Krishna out of knowledge, he is the best. Because one who is approaching Krishna for knowledge, he won't leave Krishna. He will always stay with Krishna. Because he has Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. So one who is approaching Krishna out of knowledge, he will always stay with Krishna, he will never leave Krishna. All the other 3, they will come to Krishna, ask for some material benediction. As soon as the desire is fulfilled, they won't come back to Krishna. They will forget everything, they will go back to their material life. Even those who are inquisitive, out of inquisitiveness, someone will come, okay, I've heard about these Hare Krishnas, I saw them chanting in Harinam in Blacktown or Liverpool. Who are these Hare Krishnas? They gave me this temple card, let me go check it out. I never heard about them. Let me go and see what exactly happens there. So they'll come, they'll just look around, they'll say, okay, so this is what these Hare Krishna are all about, then they'll go back. The inquisitiveness will be fulfilled, they'll go back. They won't come back again. So if someone wants mitigation of their suffering, someone wants money, or someone is just inquisitiveness, they will come. Only for a certain time they will stay with Radha Gopinath, then they will go away. But Prabhupada explains, if someone comes and gets some spiritual wisdom, gets some knowledge, then on the strength of that knowledge, they will always stay with Shri Radha Gopinath, they will never leave. That's why studying the Shastras is so important. Because this is what will keep us going in our spiritual life. This is like the fuel for our engine. Just like all of us, we drive cars. If the fuel runs out, no matter how nice the car is, the car won't move. It will just stay in one place. So what is the fuel? In the engine of our spiritual life, Prabhupada explains, the fuel for our engine is studying these books, chanting the holy name of the Lord. By studying these books, getting spiritual wisdom, this is the fuel for us to progress in our spiritual life. Otherwise, we will come and then we'll go away. If someone wants to be very steady in devotional service, then Prabhupada explains, one needs spiritual wisdom. One needs to daily hear Srimad Bhagavatam. This way one purifies himself and one is able to stay fixed in devotional service. There's one nice verse Ghanshyam Prabhu was quoting recently. And this is the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami, he's explaining. Yasmin Satkarna Piyuse, Yasas Tirte Vare Sakret, Shrotanjali Upaspresya, Dhunate Karma Vasanam. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami, he's explaining the glories of hearing Krishna Katha, glories of hearing talks about Krishna. So he is explaining, Yasmin Satkarna Piyuse, Yasas Tirta Vare Sakret. He is explaining that anyone who is hearing descriptions about Krishna and Krishna's pastimes, he is situated in the best of all holy places of pilgrimage. So out of all holy places of pilgrimage, what is the topmost place of pilgrimage? It's Sri Vrindavan Dham. That is topmost. There is no holy place, there is no tirtha greater than Sri Vrindavan Dham. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying that if anyone is seated anywhere and he is just simply hearing something about Krishna, then he is situated in Sri Vrindavan Dham. He is situated in the best of all holy places of pilgrimage. Yasmin Sat Karna. Karna means the ear. Piyuse. Piyuse means to drink. Just like all of you are drinking water slowly, slowly. So in the same way, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, anyone who is drinking Krishna Katha through his ears, for him, Yasas Tirtha Vare Sakrit. Out of all tirthas, he is situated in the best of the tirthas. He is situated in Vrindavan Dham. He could be in America, he could be in China, he could be in the middle of Congo forest, he could be in a busy train, he could be, in a pub, doesn't matter where he is. Regardless of wherever he is situated, if he is hearing Krishna Katha, then he is factually situated in Sri Vrindavan Dham. That's why Mahaprabhu, he was explaining that Vrindavan is a state of consciousness. It's not like a physical location. That's why Mahaprabhu used to say, Mora Mana Vrindavan. My mind is Vrindavan. So regardless of where we are, we can create Vrindavan where we are just based on our consciousness. If we're hearing about Krishna, if we're remembering about Krishna, if our mind is fully focused on Krishna, we're actually fully present in Vrindavan. On the other hand, someone might go to Vrindavan. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. On the other hand, someone might go to Bhoma Vrindavan, catch a plane ticket, go there. But if he doesn't have the proper consciousness, externally he'll be in Vrindavan, but he won't be in Vrindavan. Instead of being in Vrindavan, being engaged in service, being absorbed in Krishna, he will just simply see, oh, there are so much dirt here. How dirty is this place? How come there are so many big buildings here? How come there is, so many pigs in the sewers? Like this. He won't be able to see the Dham. So in this way, the Acharyas explain that Vrindavan actually is a state of consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explains that one can't buy a ticket to Vrindavan. It's not like, like if we want to go to China, this place, that place, you can buy a ticket, go there as a tourist. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj explains, that's not how we go to Vrindavan. Vrindavan, one enters through one's consciousness. And Prabhupada explains, if anyone is fully Krishna consciousness, then wherever that devotee is, that place automatically becomes Vrindavan. So a devotee, he's able to transform any place to Vrindavan simply based on consciousness. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that anyone who's hearing Bhagavatam, at that very spot where he's hearing Bhagavatam, that very spot becomes the best of all holy place of pilgrimage. And then he says, Sotanjali upasprisya dhunate karma vasanam. Shrota again refers to hearing. Shrota Anjali. Anjali means like water, like jal. So Shrotanjali upasprisya. Upasprisya means to touch. Sukadeva Goswami explains, just like someone goes to the Ganga. And what do you do when you go to Ganga? You take bath. Or at least you take some water and you sprinkle it on your head. Prabhupada says that if you just take a little Ganga water and sprinkle it on your head 3 times, that is equivalent to taking bath in Ganga. You don't have to fully go deep down. You just take a little water and just sprinkle on your head. That is equivalent to taking bath in Ganga. And Ghanshyam Prabhu, one time he was also mentioning, his Guru Maharaj was quoting from some Shastra, which was explaining that before you go to take a shower, if you just chant Ganga, Ganga, Ganga 3 times, then that's equivalent to taking bath in Ganga. This is how merciful the Shastras are. So tomorrow morning or today in the evening, next time you go to take a shower, just while you're under the shower, just chant Ganga, Ganga, Ganga 3 times. And according to Shastra, that's equivalent to taking bath in the Ganga. So this is the power of even reciting Ganga Devi or even remembering Ganga Devi. So just like when someone goes to the Ganga, he touches the water of the Ganga to purify himself. In the same way, Sukadeva Goswami says, when the waters of Krishna Katha, when they come and they touch the ears of the devotee, then immediately he is purified of all sinful reactions. Not only sinful reactions, but he is purified of all material desires right at the root. Prabhupada explains, when one goes to the Ganga, the touch of the Ganga water will cleanse all sinful reactions. But the inclination to sin will still be there. So one will go, get purified of sins, then again go back, again he'll do more sins. Then again he'll come, get cleansed of sins, again he'll do more sins. But Prabhupada explains, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, not only does Bhagavatam eliminate all the sinful reactions, but Bhagavatam also eliminates that desire right at the root. So we won't desire all those sinful things again. That's why Sukadeva Goswami says, when we touch the transcendental waters of Bhagavad Katha, when the Bhagavad Katha waters comes and touches our ears, Shrotanjali upasprisya dhunute karma vasanam. Dhunute means burns up like fire. Karma vasanam. Vasanam means deep-rooted material desires. So all these deep-rooted material desires we have, which have been troubling us for so many lifetimes, they'll be burnt up right at the roots. When the roots of a particular plant or tree are burnt up, then no longer will that plant grow up again. So this is the power of Bhagavad Gita, Sukadeva Goswami explains. I'll read the last line of the purport. So in this way, Prabhupada explains these 4 different types of Sakama devotees, devotees who approach him with desires. There is no frustration for any of these 4 classes of men. Each is endowed with the desired result of his worship. So regardless of whichever category a devotee falls under, Prabhupada is saying, there is no frustration for any one of them. Krishna will perfectly take care of them and satisfy them. So that's the main point of this verse, is explaining how Krishna is within our heart, and no matter what desires we have, Krishna will fulfill, and he will take care of us. Just like we're reading Krishna book now in the evenings, and if you look at Mother Devaki, how does Lord Vishnu, he appear in front of Mother Devaki? He doesn't just appear as a baby, but he comes as 4-handed Narayan first, and then he transforms into a baby. And Prabhupada explains, why does Krishna appear as 4-handed Narayan in front of Mother Devaki first? Prabhupada explains that Mother Devaki, she had a lot of fear that already this brutal Kamsa has killed so many of my children, 6, 7 of my children. Now, my 8th child is born. He will kill this child also. So Mother Devaki, she had that fear. To mitigate that fear, so Vishnu, he's seated in Mother Devaki's heart. He's understanding that, okay, this is the fear she has. So mitigate that fear. Krishna, he first appears as 400 Narayan just to pacify Devaki. Don't worry, I am Vishnu himself. I am no ordinary child. Look, I have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. With this, I will kill Kamsa. No need to worry. No need to fear. I will take care of Kamsa. So in this way, Vishnu, being seated as the super soul Mother Devaki's heart, he appears in a way to satisfy or to pacify the distress that Mother Devaki was going through. Same way later on, during the fight between Krishna and Kamsa, at that time, Vasudeva and Devaki, they were also in the arena where the fight was going on. So it was like a huge, you can imagine, just like a football stadium or a cricket stadium. You can have, you have thousands of people all seated all around, and in the middle, some match is going, some soccer match or some cricket match. So similar kind of big, huge stadium arena was arranged for the fight. And in the middle of the stadium, Krishna has actually Kamsa, he was seated at the top of the stadium. Just like if you look at cricket stadiums, they have VIP seats. And it will be somewhere at the top where the VIP guests, they will get nice view of the match. So Kamsa, he was seated at the top in the VIP seats. He's the king. So after Krishna and Balaram, they smash Chandra Mustika. Then Krishna, he immediately jumps up into the top level of the stadium where Kamsa is seated on VIP seats. Then he comes to Kamsa, and Kamsa, he has a sword. He is trying to attack Krishna. Krishna, he pushes the sword away. He knocks off Kamsa's crown. Then he grabs Kamsa, and then he throws him from the top of the stadium to the bottom. Then Krishna, he jumps on top of Kamsa, and then he starts punching him. And he starts beating Kamsa. And just like that, he beats Kamsa to death. So while all this is happening, Vasudeva and Devaki, they're watching all this. And out of paternal affection, they're in anxiety for their son, Krishna. Krishna is just like 12, 13 years old. Kamsa is this huge brute demon, and they're worried about their son's safety. So Krishna, he understands that, my parents, they're really afraid and anxiety about my well-being. So even after he kills Kamsa, what does Krishna do? He grabs the dead body of Kamsa by the hair, and he drags the dead body all around the stadium. Just to show everyone that no need to worry anymore. Kamsa is dead, he's finished. Don't worry. Look, he's dead. Look, I'm dragging his dead body. Like this, Krishna does a full circle around the stadium and drags Kamsa's body all around. Just to pacify his mother and father. That it's okay, you can relax now. Kamsa's dead. He's really dead. Look, his body is dead. I'm dragging his body. So in this way, throughout the Shastras, we'll see how Krishna in so many places, he knows exactly what his devotees are going through, what emotions they're going through, what problems they're having. And even without his devotees asking, Krishna will act in such a way to satisfy or fulfill that desire. Another example is that of Queen Satya. So this is one of the principal queens of Krishna. She was the daughter of King Nagnajit. And if you remember, this king, he had this challenge that anyone who wants to marry my daughter, he has to defeat these 7 huge bulls. And no matter whichever prince came to subdue those 7 bulls, they all got defeated. They got smashed and they went back. Some of them were even killed. So then Krishna comes, and Krishna wants to marry the daughter of King Nagnajit. Krishna, he understands the heart of this princess, that she wants to marry me. For so long she has been worshipping me. She wants me as her husband, so let me fulfill this desire. So the challenge is there. There are 7 bulls Krishna has to subdue. Now Krishna, he could have just with one hand, just slapped all the 7 bulls and just defeated them like that. But how does Krishna defeat the 7 bulls? He expands himself into 7 Krishnas. And each Krishna tackles 1 bull. So these 7 Krishnas, they each go and tackle one of the 7 bulls. They subdue the 7 bulls, then they bring them together. So why is it that Krishna, he expands into 7 forms? He didn't have to do that. He could have just by looking, just by raising his eyebrow, he could have just killed all the 7 bulls. That's what Bhishma Dev explains in the first canto. Bhishma Dev saying that the battle of Kurukshetra, actually the whole credit for the battle of Kurukshetra should be given to Krishna. And Bhishma Dev explains that Krishna, just by raising his eyebrows, he reduced the lifespan of all the warriors on the Kaurava side. So this is the power of Krishna. All he has to do is simply raise his eyebrows like that. Immediately the lifespan of millions of soldiers will be reduced just like that. So that's all Krishna had to do to kill the 7 bulls. He could have just raised his eyebrow like that. All the 7 bulls could have just fell down dead. But instead, Krishna, he expands into 7 forms to tackle with the 7 bulls. So why does Krishna do that? And the Acharyas explain the reason Krishna does that is to encourage Satya, the princess or the daughter of King Nagnajit. Because at this time, Krishna, he had many wives. He already had 5, 6 other wives. So a doubt could have been there that, can Krishna fully reciprocate, or, sometime Krishna might be with this wife, then with that wife, this wife. So I won't get full audience with Krishna. So just to clear any doubt and just to convince or reassure Satya that don't worry, I can expand myself and 24 hours a day I can be with you. Krishna, he expands into 7 forms to show Satya, or the daughter of King Nagnajit, to show her that actually I can expand myself so I can simultaneously be present with all of my wives. So it's not that all of you have to wait. If I have 16,000 wives, 16,108 wives, it's not that you have to wait for 16,107 days before you can see me. So it's not like every day I have to be with each one of you. No, I can expand myself and I can simultaneously be present with all of you. So in this way, to reassure Satya, Krishna, he expands into 7 forms just to reassure her that don't worry, I can perfectly reciprocate with your love. So in this way, in many instances we can see how Krishna, he understands the heart of his devotees, and even without his devotees asking for something, Krishna will automatically fulfill that, being situated within our hearts. Okay, we'll stop here. If there's any questions or comments. Okay, Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki